I'm Brittany Caldwell, and you're watching B-Chat. So I know the feeling of having a plan for your life, and anything that comes in the way of that plan is immediately dismissed. You're comfortable with your plan, and anything that looks even slightly different makes you feel uncomfortable. Or maybe you don't have a plan at all and you don't even know where to start. Well, can you relate to feeling confused, to feeling lost, or even forgotten by God? Let's chat about it. So I sat down with Tracy Baker, a close friend of mine and an event planner in Charlotte, North Carolina. But having her own business as an event planner wasn't always a part of her plan. Let's take a listen.
It wasn't until I had my first baby and I got back to work. I working in HR. I got back to work, and I was so excited to be back at work. And when I got there, and sorry if I get a little bit emotional,
Okay.
but I got back to work and I was so excited to share the news with my baby, and I had been out for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, excuse me. So got out, came back, and they're like, we're going to change your job title. We're going to cut your pay, and we want you to train someone else to do your job.
Okay.
That completely rocked me, to be honest. Anyways, I went through that entire transition.
Okay.
I know that transition was for God to reveal to me that He's my source, right? It's not the job that's my source. It's not people who is my source, but He's truly my source. And so we went back to the drawing board. Pretty much I was praying, and my husband and I writing stuff down, making it plain.
Yeah.
And my husband was like, well, what do you love to do, right?
Yeah.
I love doing events. Okay. So we went to that. We're like, okay. So I started researching different events. And so found a media and events course at UNC Charlotte, a certification course. And so I completed that course in November.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I think that sometimes we put so much pressure on having it all figured out. And planning, preparing, goal setting, those are all great things. How will we ever get anything done if we don't prepare, right? But have you left room for what happens outside of your control? If you feel hopeless, if you feel lost when it comes to your career path or your purpose, then I would just encourage you to explore. Explore those things that you've always wanted to do. Explore that deep passion that you've always had. And I want to give you some practical tips to help you explore. Number one is, of course, pray. All right, it's so important to invite God in every area of our lives, including our career path. So include Him in this brainstorming process. Ask Him, what gifts and talents have you given me that you want me to use? And then trust Him along the way. But I think, again, it's so important to invite God into the beginning phase of the process of just brainstorming and exploring the things that you feel led to do. Number two, make a list of the things that you love to do. I love hospitality. I love having people over my house and hanging out, whether it's a book study or just a girls' night. I really enjoy pouring into the lives of women and allowing close friends to pour into me as well. So I like that community and being around people. For you, it may be teaching, it may be decorating, but just really start to sit down and write that out, what you like to do. Tracy had to go back to the drawing board, and some of us need to do the same. Some of us need to go back to the drawing board and really write out the things that we feel that God is leading us to do and things that we just actually enjoy. And I'm sure we'll be surprised of some gifts and talents that we kind of put to the side because we got ahead of ourselves trying to accomplish this one thing that God never called us to, and we pushed those other great gifts and talents aside. So go back to the drawing board and write out the things that you just brings you joy. So number three is move. All right, and that doesn't mean moving to another state or moving from your job, but just start putting action to the things you want to do. Get to moving. All right, I oftentimes don't see God move until I move. We can write 15 vision boards a year and we can pray all day, and God does hear our prayers and answer our prayers. But James 2:17 says, faith without works is dead being alone. We have to start putting work to the thing that we're passionate about, to the thing that God has called us to do. So if you want to be an interior designer, it may be finding out who's over the event team at your church and how can you volunteer with decorating for the events. Or there may be a continuing education course at your local college for interior design. You never know until you actually start researching. And that doesn't mean you have to sign up for the course today. The point is just to take a step and start researching the possibilities that can help you get to where you want to go. So yeah, move, all right? So Tracy's first step was signing up for a meeting and events course. And after she took the course, she knew that she had to actually plan an event. Oftentimes we have all the tools that we need, but we let fear hold us back. So thoughts of feeling confused or lost can also come with thoughts of feeling forgotten. This is something that Tracy dealt with as well.
Having my first child was one of the greatest highlights of my life, right? As women, we go through things where we feel like, well, maybe, can I have a baby? You know, can those things happen? For me? Yeah. And so for me, that was one of the greatest highlights of my life. So to feel like, Lord, I'm paying my tithes, I'm being obedient, you know, I'm doing everything you asked of me, I'm giving back, you know, so, and then when something like that hits you, you're like, I was confused, you know, like, Lord, what am I doing? Am I doing something wrong? Have you forgot about me? I'm over here, I'm praying, I'm giving back, I'm being obedient, you know, I'm giving my tithes, Lord, you know, how can this happen to me? And then it's one of those things that hits you, well, why not you? You know, why not you? You know, your testimony is going to be greater than this trial you're going through. If I don't take you through this, you know, you have to understand I'm your source. I'm your sole source. You know, because sometimes you can go through things and you forget that he's in control of everything, you know, and that he may have placed people for vehicles, but it's not just, he's still the source, right? He's your source. And he's not forgotten. You're not forgotten.
So never forget that you are not forgotten. Okay, so there's a story in the Bible that I want to share with you. I have my Bible with me today, and it's from John chapter 11. And it's one that you all may be familiar with, but it just reminds me that I am not forgotten. So it's the story of Mary and Martha, whose brother Lazarus was very sick. And we can see that they sent word to Jesus saying, "The one whom you love is ill." And Jesus heard them and said, "This illness does not lead to death. It is for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified through it." And so we see that Jesus loved them very much. We can see this in the story, but he didn't go immediately to Lazarus. He waited 2 days before he went to where they were. And we may think, what? Like, why would he wait to go to help heal someone that he loved? And we may see this in our own lives as well. When Jesus doesn't do things that we desire immediately, we are confused because we say, well, he loves me, so why isn't this happening when I think it should happen? And then we realize that, okay, God isn't on our clock. He has his own timing for things. And the beautiful thing in this story is that it was because he loved them that he waited. So let's keep reading. So Jesus told his disciples that Lazarus had died, and then they went to Judea. And when they went there, they saw that Lazarus was in the tomb for 4 days. So of course, Mary and Martha put their brother in the tomb. I mean, I'm sure people would have thought they were crazy if they didn't. But how many of us need a little crazy faith? I mean, I want the type of faith to where I am standing on the promises of God and the word of God, regardless of how crazy it looks to anyone else. Because let's look at what happens next. Martha sees that Jesus is coming, and she goes out to him and she says, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." And Jesus says, "Your brother will rise again." And then he goes on to say this in John 11:25-26. He says, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And everyone who lives and believes in me shall never die." Do you believe this? And so if we take this story and apply it to our lives, we see that, you know, regardless of what we're going through, what dark season we may feel that we're in, maybe our marriage, our relationship, our career path is, we feel failing and we feel just so confused, we can take this story and see that even though those things may seem dead, God has the final say. And just like Mary and Martha felt forgotten, you are not forgotten. Lazarus died and they laid him in a tomb, but Jesus came in his perfect timing and raised Lazarus from the dead. And he is still in the resurrection business. So be encouraged. God has a plan for your life and it is beautiful. So I hope this video encouraged you to explore all of the great things that God wants to do through your gifts and your talents. I also pray that you always remember that you are not forgotten. God has a plan for your life, and it is more beautiful than anything you could have ever thought or imagined. I can't wait to see all of the great things God does through you as you take a step of faith. Thank you so much for watching.